In this lesson, we will go over best practices for making speech note cards. First, we will talk about why note cards are still considered one of the most effective public speaking tools. Then, we will discuss preparation, tips for making your note cards, and how to use them for practice and delivery. So, why note cards? Why not simply read off our phones, a script, or some other tech device like the professionals do? Well, first of all, we practice a speech delivery method called extemporaneous speaking. Extemporaneous speaking is a way of presenting that sounds conversational and natural, when in actuality, it has been carefully practiced and prepared by the speaker. Extemporaneous speeches have purpose when it comes to structure, and in this way are rehearsed and organized with intention. This method differs from impromptu speaking, which requires zero preparation, or a memorized speech, or a manuscript delivery, which is read aloud. When giving an extemporaneous speech, note cards play a valuable role in keeping the speaker on track with keywords and phrases that function as prompts and organizational reminders. Using our phones, printed outlines, scripts, computers, and other tech devices encourages reading and moves speakers away from extemporaneous speaking, which has more potential of connecting with audiences due to its conversational nature. Also, technology fails. Phones ring at inopportune times, notifications pop up, Wi-Fi goes down, and the like. So we can't always trust our devices to do the work for us. Let's get back to note cards. Good note cards are tools, not your speech. Their purpose is to help you remember key ideas and delivery cues, not to encourage reading out loud. When preparing your note cards, it's important to consider some of the following tips. First, be sure that your topic is engaging with a clear purpose and intentional message for your audience. Once you've decided on your topic, be sure to organize it using a basic outline format according to the various speech parts. Use a structure that's familiar to you. For example, numerals, letters, main points and subpoints that are all bulleted. This will help with differentiating your notes and your ideas. Select note cards that are the appropriate size, perhaps 3x5 or 4x6, which are the standard size note cards. Will they be lined or blank, color-coded or numbered at the top, stapled or simply placed in order? Once you start writing on the note cards, you'll want to write on only one side and limit the amount of information to only one subject or speech part per card. In other words, use one card per section of the speech, such as the introduction, the body, or the conclusion. Write large and consider color coding or highlighting the different parts. This will assist in case you drop your note cards or they get scrambled on the day of your speech. Remember, only write down key words or phrases, though there are a few exceptions when it comes to essential information that you don't want to miss. Crucial details such as statistics, full quotes, complex names, terms or industry jargon, and other vocabulary that you need to be precise about would be good to write in full on your cards. Finally, be sure to add nonverbal speaking cues. Things like slow down or point to the side, breathe, or pause here. Bracketing these cues or writing them in a different color off to the side or the margin will help separate your speech content from your delivery notes. Putting time cues on the top of each card will also help with the delivery part, so you know where you're supposed to be at the conclusion when you get to 3 minutes, for example. So those are some tips for preparing and making or writing your note cards. Other ideas include writing clearly, using high contrast pens and colors, and spacing out your notes. These kinds of things just make your life easier. Okay, so what about practicing? always rehearse with your note cards. These are just as much of the speech as you are. Get comfortable with them. Moving your note cards around in your hand, placing them down by your side, allowing you space for movement and gestures during the actual delivery of your speech. Remember, don't hold them with both hands and read word for word. Your note cards are just a guide, not your script. Pay attention to those nonverbal cues that you set on the side for yourself. For example, it's important to maintain eye contact with your audience, even if they are virtual. Aiming for 70% or more eye contact with your listener as you work to speak conversationally is a great rule of thumb. Do your best to avoid shuffling or fidgeting with your note cards during your speech. If you do need something in your hands to fidget with, as I do, consider using something small, like a tiny rubber band, or maybe a piece of Play-Doh or similar to roll around. Doing so can certainly help calm your nerves, and these gestures are often invisible to your audience. Following this advice, you can plan, create, and practice with your note cards. And doing so will enhance your delivery, build your confidence as a speaker, and help to engage the audience as you work to grow your public speaking skills.